Okay, let's start already. Okay, members and people listening virtually, welcome to the meeting of OHA's Committee on Resource Management. It is Wednesday, October 11, 2023, and it is 10:01 a.m. Members, I think I was asked by Trustee Lindsay to possibly excuse her from this meeting. Let's see, that's the only one, yeah. And Trustee Souza. But joining us here today is Trustee Ahuna, Trustee Galuteria, Trustee Trask, Trustee Alapa, Vice Chair Alapa, and did I say Trustee Akaka? Yeah, did I say, okay, and Trustee Akaka is also here, and myself, giving us the quorum for the meeting. Let's see now. Also supporting us on this meeting is Karina China and Melissa Winahan, and representing admin, it appears to be Casey. And I will, at this time, Casey, give you the floor to introduce any other support staff that's on this virtual meeting.
Mahalo, Chair Wahe'e. From administration, we have Interim General Counsel Everett Ota. We have our Chief Financial Officer Ramona Hink, and we have, as usual, our IT folks who support all of our meetings. System engineer and administrator Kevin Chalk, and I believe our managers in the room with some of you all, Tiger Lee. Mahalo, Chair Wahe'e.
Thank you, Casey. And with that, it is my understanding there is no testimony, and no one signed up for testimony. Is that correct, Karina? At this time, 0 registrants on any agenda item. Okay, as there are none, we can move on to the approval of the committee minutes of August 9, 2023. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? It's been moved by Trustee Alafa, seconded by Trustee Akaka. Members, does anyone have any changes to those minutes? Okay, if there's not any, then can I get a roll call vote for their approval?
Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka. Trustee Akaka. Oh.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galateria.
Aye.
Trustee Trask.
Aye.
Chair Wahe'e.
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Okay, the minutes are approved. As we have no unfinished business, I will move on to new business, action item RM 2320, budget carryover grants. And I will once again turn this over to our CEO, Casey Brown, to present it.
Mahalo, Chair Wahe'e and trustees. Good morning. We have a stack of actions to recommend to you this morning, and they're all related to grants. We want to start first with the budget carryover. So there's a bunch of unspent grants funds from prior years that we want to walk you through first. And I'll hand it to our CFO, Mona, to walk you folks through that.
Good morning, Chair Wahe'e, Vice Chair Alapa, trustees, and esteemed colleagues. The first action item on the docket is the budget carryover for grants. Administration is recommending a budget carryover for grants from fiscal 22 and fiscal 23 of $8,440,000. Of that amount, $5 million has been approved for the carry forward for the Emergency Disaster Recovery Aid for the Maui wildfires, action item BOT 2307. Other specific items recommended for use of the budget carry forward is 110 Kako'o grants awarded, action item RM 2318, that were subject to the budget carryover for grants, and $1,330,000 are for the social services and housing matching provisos. A total of $6,440,000 of the $440,000 are specifically identified in the action item for use of the budget carry forward. The remaining $2 million are unspecified grant carry forwards. However, the use of the unspecified $2 million budget carryover for grants will be brought to you for approval when the grants are later awarded, and if any part of the budget carryover for the grants are used. So I'd like to open this up for questions, if any.
Are there any questions, members?
Mr.
Trustee Aquino?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just need some direction from you at this time. Would this be the appropriate time to raise a question regarding RM 23-22, or should wait? Next.
Good wait.
Thank you very much. We're not taking these in total. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any questions on this one? Oh, good. Well then, with that, can I get a motion to approve the carryover budget?
I move.
Okay, this motion has been moved by Trustee Aquino and seconded by Trustee Alapa. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the carryover grants as defined in this motion, action item RM 2320? Hearing, okay, which reads to approve the carryover budget from fiscal year 2021 to 2022 and 2022 to 2023 unspent, uncommitted, unencumbered, and unaccrued funds in appropriation supplemental trust funds 930, program grants 3800, proviso grants 56510, community grants 56530, level 2 grants 56540, sponsorships 56560, and disaster aid 56570 in the amount of $8,440,000 to fiscal year 2023 to 2024. If there's no discussion on that motion, can I get a roll call vote for its approval?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Aquina, Trustee Alapa. Aye. Trustee Galataria.
Aye.
Trustee Trask,
Aye.
Chair Wahe,
Yes,
7 yes votes.
that action item passes out of the committee. We'll move on now to action item RM 2321, approve the awarding of economic stability grants. And I will once again turn it over to our Ponui, Casey Brown, for the presentation of this action item.
Mahalo, Chair Wahe. Trustees, this is the first of 5 total grants we're going to recommend. And a few of these do tie into the budget carryover that you folks just approved. So this first is economic stability grant. 2 organizations are being recommended for a total of $900,000. I'm not going to choose to dig into any details. I'm going to open it up for any questions.
Are there any questions, members, on this action item? Okay. If there are no questions for Casey, then can I get a motion to approve the following fiscal year 2023 economic stability grants solicitation number 23-03.01, disbursements totaling $900,000 from core operating budget, object code 56530 to Ho'akeo La Pono Trades Academy and Institute in the amount of $400,000, and Homestead Community Development Corporation in the amount of $500,000 for a total recommendation of $900,000. It's been
So
moved,
moved. Sorry,
it's been moved by trustee
I
Ahuna
thought she was gonna move it. I was waiting for a second. Sorry.
and seconded by trustee Alapa. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, can I get a roll call vote for its approval?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
trustee Akaka. Aye. Trustee Akina. Trustee Alapa. Aye. Trustee Galataria.
Aye.
Trustee Trask.
Aye.
Chair Whitehead.
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Okay, that action item passes out of committee. And now we have, the next action item is RM 2322. Approve the awarding of INA grants. And I will once again turn this over to Casey Brown for the presentation of this action item.
Mahalo Chair Wahe'e. Trustees, this is our INA grants. And we have 6 organizations that are recommended. The total recommended to disperse is 600,000. Again, I mean, our evaluation process with the grants is a very strong process, and so the rigor that's there speaks to our recommendations. And I think this was the action item that trustee Akina had a question about. So I have nothing more to describe in this grant program, so I'm opening it up for questions.
Are there any questions, members? Trustee Akina.
I do have a question, Mr. Chair, for either you or for Casey. The RN agenda here includes action item 2322, which I'm addressing, and it proposes to award a grant of $100,000 to Aloha Kuamo'o Aina. The executive director of Aloha Kuamo'o Aina has done business with OHA in the past. According to the findings of the Clifton Larson Allen and Plant Moran reviews, this executive director was in the past the owner of Kuauli Aina Based Insights LLC, which received a contract totaling $435,000 that was flagged as constituting fraud, waste, and abuse in both of the CLA and the Plant Moran reviews. So my question is, has that been taken into consideration by the review committee on administration? And what was your conclusion?
Chair Wahe'e, I'll take a first stab at that.
Okay, go ahead, Casey.
Trustee Akina, great question. So first and foremost, the grants process is a strong, rigorous process, and we are going to stand on the rigor and how they are evaluating any applicants. But before I speak more on the grants process, I just want to say that if any proposed grantee presents a concern for the trustees, and we're talking about denying or excluding the grant from this proposed applicant, it's definitely something that we would want the trustees to make a call on. Given that, my recollection of the prior audits, like the CLA, the financial report that we ordered, the CLA, and then the Plant Moran, many of those contracts, and the contract in this case with Keola Beamer and his consulting company, it mostly involved, so while none of them were absolved, right, there was certainly no one who was absolved of any wrongdoing, any contractor. We're also in the flip side situation. None of them was, actually charged as well for the contractor noted as doing any wrongdoing. So it's really hard to really pull in any of those identified folks without some, finality on the wrongdoing of the contractor themselves. So we kind of kept that separate. And also my recollection is the primary issues with many of those contracts related to the procurement method. You know, it was, the contracts weren't bid out. They were given to people with existing relationships. And my guess is this is one of those contracts. It's the same case here. And so, you know, again, I'll move us into the grants process now. You know, what they do in this process, just as a reminder, trustees, is the evaluation team is an external team of Native Hawaiian community members. They evaluate applicants blindly. They don't know these applicants. They use a rubric that is rooted in the solicitation requirements, and they're well trained on how to apply the rubric. And then these grantees are then monitored, and then the grantees are then evaluated at the end of performance to make sure that they meet the goals that they state in their proposal. Really, the grants program is just going to stand on its own process in place to bring forth a recommendation. And so in this case, I just wanted to provide you guys a little bit more info while you guys deliberate over this entity. The other thing I want to note is this entity, even though its executive directors Kamana Beamer, the board is Keola Beamer, John Osorio, Neil Hannes, and there's many staff members. So it's also a different entity, you know, to a certain extent. But I'll stop there. I'll pause there and let you trustees weigh in and deliberate.
Casey, okay, thanks, Casey. I want to just, I wasn't really, I want to just expand on what you're saying. The audit, and if someone has a criticism of the quality of work that was done by that vendor, that's one thing. But the audit itself, it was an audit of OHA, and all the fraud, waste, and abuse. All that part of it is done. It was OHA's. It was on OHA, like it wasn't on the vendors that were being accused of any of that. It was OHA's. Like OHA was the one who failed to procure certain contracts correctly. So if you don't trust a vendor to do the job based on past work they've done, that's different. But they were never, none of the vendors were ever accused of being part of the any of the fraud, waste, or abuse parts of that audit. That was all OHA and from OHA's side of things. Trustee Ahuna.
I'm just saying, enough is enough already about all of this. Let's just move on. Let's go on. Nothing. We went audit after audit after audit. I mean, nothing went on. Like, we can talk about a lot of things with your staff, okay? But nobody's doing it, okay? Because we want to move on.
Trustee Aquino.
Well, Mr. Chair, I mean no ill will here today, nor do I mean to question the rigor that Casey talks about that went into evaluating the proposals. I'm just asking a question. I was asking whether administration had taken into consideration the fact that the principal in this organization had done business with OHA in the past, and whether it had taken into consideration what had been reported about it. Judging from what Casey had said, it doesn't sound like the specifics that were mentioned in the CLA and Plant Moran report were addressed, at least not in what Casey said. I'm just pointing this out because we did good work to help protect the beneficiaries of OHA, and I just want to make sure that we take it into consideration. I have no axe to grind here whatsoever, and I would just simply ask that we bifurcate this so that anyone who wishes to perhaps abstain or not vote in favor of that can do so without being negative about any of the other grants.
Trustee Trask.
Thank you. You know, I agree with what Kaylee is saying. I do not want to take these grants as one collective. What happened was the following. We went through 3 audits, the state auditor, CLE, and then because of clear indication that there was criminal behavior. That is what fraud, waste, and abuse is. It's a flag. So that's what came up in the last audit. Following that, the trustees decided to take it as far as they could. That's why we went from CLE to Plant Moran because the board voted for a forensic audit to see if there was any evidence that might in the future be considered fraud, waste, and abuse. That's the criminal flag that gets raised. So then Plant Moran comes in and Plant Moran gives us that report. We asked for it, we paid for it. Plant Moran then comes out and shows us where accounting evidence looks like fraud, waste, and abuse. The board looks at it with assistance of counsel and decides that we can't go that far. Then the board designates Kaylee Aquina and myself to take it to the FBI, which is what we did. And colleagues, not all of you were there, but most of you showed up to the press conference we had with the whole board saying, we're going to send this to determine if there was fraud, waste, and abuse. And when that step was completed, you all directed that the report then be taken to the FBI. I went, Kaylee Aquina went, and Kaylee's aide went. That was several months ago. We are waiting for the FBI report on the investigation for fraud, waste, and abuse. That's where we are now. This problem only comes up with a very few that were flagged by Plant Moran. But I just wanted to point out the reason why we didn't act was because we decided as a board and had a press conference that we were going to send it for further criminal investigation because we had Plant Moran in our hand. Until that is done, I'm not sure why we would be giving them another 100,000. My sense is that if we're asking for an FBI investigation and we took it over to them with a vote from the board, why would we now give the same folks some of the same principles $100,000 before we get the response back on the investigation we requested? You know, if we go ahead and vote this and just say, well, we're just going to treat it like, it's a new grant, we're going to be looking pretty badly if and when the FBI comes out and says there was criminal behavior. I'm not saying forget it. I'm saying that when you take something to the FBI, you need to wait for a couple of years for their response. And if not, then we should at least inquire before we give them another 100,000. Since Kaylee and I went over there and took all the information, all of the audits, we had to pretty much lug it in a carrying case. It was so much material. We haven't heard back from them. I don't want to be in a situation where we're voting for funding and then we're hearing later that there was criminal behavior. That's the problem I see us in. It's not anybody's fault. It was flagged to our attention by the third auditor with fraud, waste, and abuse, and that is the criminal flag. We did what we could. We sent it to the FBI. I'm just saying, before we give them another tranche of money, we should at least check and find out if our request for criminal investigation is being pursued. I think the other grants here should be funded and proceed. If there is a response, I'm willing to go and look for it. But until that time, I think we should hold off on Aloha Kuamo'oaina because the principal, the executive director is named in Plant Moran. I'm not saying anybody is guilty of anything, but when I get an audit like this from Plant Moran and a directive from this board that you take it to the FBI, I will do so, and for good reason. We just need to kind of remember where we were when we were coming up here. And I'm not saying kill the grant now, but I sure don't wanna be in a situation later where criminal charges get filed and we're then in the position of having awarded an additional grant following our own request to the FBI. You know, colleagues, how do we address this thing?
Trustee Ahuna,
Thank you, Chair. Is there anybody from administration advocacy or anybody will be speaking on this? The reason why I'm saying this is because no one gave any permission to go to the FBI. We were talking about the AG, not the FBI. And we even talked about AG. Like for me, there's a lot that we have to move on. And a lot of what we're speaking about is not even true. It's like, these are not bad people. They went through a lot, man, and they're well deserving of these grants. And it's not up to us to create a narrative so these people can get grants. This is about giving money to our people, helping our people, and using the CLA audit. I mean, that's bad. I mean, they went through a lot, and there was nothing there that they could find.
okay, I'm going to recommend that we bifurcate it then, but
OHA,
wait, Trustee Akaka,
yes, my question would be from the administration's standpoint here, what assurances can you give the trustees before we vote on this, on how you would go forward if this organization is funded? How will we be receiving the assurance that things are done in a Pono way so that we have peace of mind on this?
So I'm going to refer back to the grants process itself. Trustee Akaka, and it starts with the evaluation upfront and what they see in the application, in the applicant's write-up, right? And so just to read from the application analysis document that's included, the external evaluator comments, some of them were aggregated for you folks here, and it says this project is simple yet strong. Its details are well thought out and designed for effectiveness. The approach is focused specifically on Kuomo'oaina. What they want to do is they want to run a program bringing people on the Kuomo'oaina, get them to know the culture, the history, everything there. Another comment, well-articulated application. I would like to see this project blossom through its goals. Another comment, exceeded expectations. All application requirements were met. Several exceeded. Application responses were clear and effective, and they articulated the project well. And so that those up front tell us that this organization not only defined a good program, but laid out its way it's going to execute it and report on it. And so what our grants program then does is they work on measures and targets that these applicants must meet. And so in the monitoring process, they're monitoring to see, are they going to be meeting? Are they far away? Are they close to? Have they already met these targets? If not, there's an engagement, there's a back and forth that happens. So the assurance I would say we can provide is to stand on our rigorous grants process. I can't really speak for to Trustee Trask's point, we don't know what's to come of any investigation. I can't speak to what the other organization, which was Kamana Beamer's consultancy organization, which is different than this organization. I can't speak to how that's going to turn out.
okay,
Would you, Chair Wahe'e. This follow-up question is for Casey. So would you say, or how could you explain how the process would differ now from what has happened in the past so that there is further peace of mind so we can understand what the process is so that we can find a way to move forward with this?
You talking about grants or procurement?
Just in general. So I hear what you're talking about with the process, but
Yeah.
so
So-
that if this were to be approved, that people have peace of mind here so that they know in terms of the metrics, the measurements, the process, how often is that being monitored and what are the reports? So if it is flagged, then it will cease to end.
So both the procurement and the grants processes have, strengthened their rigor. There's much more controls in place and there's tighter controls in place.
And much more so than in previous times, you would say.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, what we're experiencing with the grant side is probably too tight controls. The reason why we even have a budget carryover was because, there's a lot of controls put in place, and it created a lot of, a system where not as much funds were dispersed. We see people, abandoning their applications because of the rigor, right? And so I would say we have very much controls in place, almost too much. So what we got to do is we have a two-pronged approach to this. We want to make sure we provide the support to the grantees to meet these new controls in place, right? As well as relooking at the controls. But there's a lot more control in place.
Mahalo, Casey.
Do you want to address Trustee Akaka's? Yeah, I see your hand up, that's why. Oh, no.
Oh, me or Trustee Trask?
Oh, Ramona, I'm sorry, Ramona.
Thank you. I just want to just add on to Casey's comments that as far as the financial side of our organization, we have a new system. We have hard budget controls. We have workflows in place. The budget gets approved, PRs get approved, POs get approved, payments get approved. So it goes through, like Casey said, a very rigorous process on the financial side. So it's not going to happen again in our watch. I guarantee you that.
Mahalo, Ramona.
Trustee Trask.
Oh, Trustee Rani.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
I just wanted to say that Trustee Dan was right. The actual movement and discussion was to take it to the AG, but it was taken to both AG and FBI. Neither of them did we hear back. The serious problems that were raised in Plant Moran were really what the board and Sylvia herself had focused on. And I do think that a lot of progress has been made in cleaning up some of those old problems. I agree. The problem I'm having is that, we haven't received the outcome of what happened under Plant Moran. It's something I don't know that we can sidestep. I mean, we called for a forensic audit. We got the report back and there was more than one. It wasn't just the Beamer, but I think it's fair to point out that the Plant Moran report that found the problem, it was not for the organization named Aloha Kuamo'oaina. Is that correct, Casey?
Correct.
That problem was with another nonprofit at the time, but not this one that applies. Is
So
that correct?
perhaps,
Yes.
so Trustee Trask, perhaps we can look at this as that, given that we see the different, the other board members and executive team members, that everyone as a collective will hold this organization accountable and are our staff overseeing this will hold them accountable so that everything will stay in line as it needs to. And perhaps that will give us further peace of mind.
That's not a bad suggestion, trustee Akaka. That's a good suggestion, I think. I think trustees, though, I want to add something. You know, it's been over a year since we took all these records over to the AGs and the FBI. And here we're waiting and waiting. And another budget cycle has come around. So I don't want us to be in this position as we go forward. Is it time for the board itself to make an inquiry to the AGs and to the FBI and say, are you conducting an investigation or not? You know what I'm saying? To just find out, is this bad audit, these 3 bad audits still a rope around our neck? Or have they really actually completed their work and they're not finding any fault with us? That's the other alternative. But I don't want to keep doing this because, you know, we're dealing with small money, 100,000. Plant Moran was millions missing. So we know this is going to come up in the future and how we're going to handle it. Maybe the cleanest way is to just go back to AG and FBI and say, we delivered these documents from Plant Moran to you over a year ago. Now give us your opinion, because we have work to do. I mean, that's one way, but this thing will continue to come up. That's why I would like to see what we're doing about it. But the other thing is that we had a press conference. We said we acknowledged fraud, waste, and abuse, and we didn't get any kind of response back from the people who are supposed to be addressing it, state or federal. But I don't want to let this thing hang around our neck for every budget cycle, you know? But we did what we could. We had a press conference. We sent it to the FBI and AG, what they're doing with it. Maybe we should find out. But I think it's a very fair point to point out that this is not the same nonprofit. This is a different nonprofit, you know? And as Dan is saying, this is the kind of problem. We could be chasing our tails in a circle for years. So we don't need to do that either. He's right on that point.
Wait, trustee Galatero.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my brain around this because the elements of a bifurcation is very important here. And at this particular juncture, I'm not necessarily convinced that that's the best way to go, but just for the benefit of this conversation here, there's one name that's in the audit. As I'm listening to you guys, it's only Dr. Kamala Beamer, correct? This is about his consulting company and how they did not carry out according to the Plant Moran.
No. It's
Okay,
what happened? Well, I
So-
can, because
Yeah.
because what comes into question is the integrity of this organization here. And I don't want to be taking them down for something that happened on another watch that has nothing to do with this. Okay, so this has something to do with a stewardship program. From what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, or bring some clarity to this so I can make the proper informed decision. The program in question that Plant Moran brought the name has nothing to do with anything that we're discussing today, correct? Yes or no? I mean.
Correct.
That
Okay,
is correct.
okay. So it would appear that if we provide the grant to this organization, in spite of the future decision of the FBI or the AG or the XYZ or whomever, it's not going to affect this program. What would be the answer to that, you guys? Yes or no? It doesn't affect this program. We given them money, this program will thrive. Will thrive. Okay. So apparently Aloha Kumo'aina is in the splash zone of something here. And it's getting some tape on it because of something that has not been determined to be truthful or. Okay, got it. I mean, I'm a lot clearer now, you guys. Okay, I really appreciate the discussion, but we should move on.
No, my recommendation to bifurcate it would be to, just so we can vote on them separately.
Yeah, well, okay, now, I want to be clear now. If we bifurcate, do we wait on this program?
No. We'll vote on
Okay,
it.
so the bifurcation
it.
there will be a decision on bifurcation, then we will decide on this separately today.
Yes,
Yeah, it's to vote today, but to have them voted on separately than the rest of the group. So we have.
Okay, so what is being suggested by Trustee
1, 2,
Trask
3,
is
4,
to wait
5.
until the report comes in from the AG or from the FBI. Am I kind of,
yes.
that's what I'm concluding this way.
So I'm guessing after it's bifurcated, she will probably vote no on that grant.
Okay, so if we're clear that the bifurcation, I'm going to vote against the bifurcation, by the way.
Okay,
Okay, but if it does come, we are going to vote on this today. In
yes,
this meeting today.
we will.
Okay, then that's the word of the chair.
Yes,
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much.
Trustee Aquino.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you, colleagues, for your input. I remind you that I raised the question as to whether or not the information from the CLA and Plant Moran reviews was taken into consideration. I am not in any way trying to raise doubt about a very fine organization, Aloha Kuamo'aina. The context is here. The context here is us. We are committed as trustees to our fiduciary duty to protect the assets of OHA and our beneficiaries. And in doing so, we commissioned these reviews, CLA and Plant Moran. We've spent quite a bit of money on them. And they are available to us to help guide decisions we make. I'm a little bit surprised to learn that the information from CLA and Plant Moran regarding the activities of the executive director, the current executive director of Aloha Kumo'aina, was not addressed. In fact, he was not even given the opportunity to address it. What we have here is an executive director of Aloha Kumo'aina requesting $100,000 from OHA. And we have a relationship with the same individual in which we had previously granted $435,000. And that $435,000 has not only come into question, it has been flagged as constituting fraud, waste, and abuse for reasons including the inability to determine that all deliverables were provided, also potential conflict of interest, and so forth. My question to us is, was that taken into consideration? What was the organization and its executive director asked about it? And what I'm hearing is that it was not. That's not good practice on our part. And so when the administration brings a package for our affirmation for us to vote yes, we don't have the basis to do so in this case. I'm not voting in opposition. I believe that the proposed work is good. I hope we can review it. I hope we can actually go back and address this with the executive director and be assured that whatever took place in the past will not take place in the future. But to think that's the case is only a hope right now, because we never addressed this issue whatsoever. We have a stewardship to make sure that we do so.
Trustee Galatario.
No, I took my hand down. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify something just for the public record. The crime that was accused of in the audit was that OHA had given out a series of contracts. These are all contracts for services, including the one that we're discussing today. And OHA failed to follow the state procurement law correctly in giving out the contract. The vendors who received the contract, they have nothing to do with that process. They just, you know, apply for it and get it. And if OHA, even if OHA was paying out the contract payments without getting the deliverables, that's still OHA's. I mean, the people failing were from OHA's side in terms of what was constituting the fraud, waste, and abuse. Anyway, I'm still going to recommend bifurcating it, but if there's no discussion, I'm going to put the motion up, and I'll let Kelly or someone make the motion to bifurcate it. But do we have to? No, because Brickwood wants to vote on the bifurcation.
The chair, I want to be clear. I'm not going to vote for the bifurcation.
I know, that's why I'm going to put the original motion up first and let them vote to amend to bifurcate it.
So, Mr. Chair,
So can I get a motion to approve the following fiscal year 2023 INA grant solicitation 230201, disbursements totaling $600,000 from core operating budget object code 56530 to Hui Malama Keala Uli'i in the amount of $100,000, Aloha Kua Mo'o Aina in the amount of $100,000, the min of PAA in the amount of $100,000, Aina Alliance in the amount of $100,000, Papakolea Community Development Corporation in the amount of $100,000, KL Kaha Panaeva Community Alliance in the amount of $100,000 for a total amount of $600,000. Can I get that motion? It's been moved by Trustee Alapa. Is there a second? Seconded by Trustee Galatario. So now, members, is there any discussion or bifurcation? Trustee Aquino.
yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I would like us to bifurcate the grant to Aloha Kuamo'o Aina.
Been moved to bifurcate that grant out of this main motion to be taken separately. Is there a second is someone second that bifurcation? Trustee Trask. Looks like she seconded it, right? Yeah. Trustee Trask, did you second the bifurcation?
Yes,
Okay. Is there any discussion on the bifurcation? Trustee Aquino.
Yes, please. I'd like to make it clear that I am not in opposition to supporting Aloha Kuamo'o Aina, and I hope that we will do so. I just believe that to carry out our due diligence, we have more questions to ask. And in particular, to give the organization's executive director an opportunity to respond to issues in CLA and raised by the CLA and Plant Moran review, and for us to look at that more in depth. That's all. So I do sincerely hope that we will be able to consider the grant after having done that due diligence.
Thank you.
Chair.
Trustee Akaka.
My question to Trustee Aquina then is, with this bifurcation that you're requesting, that is with the understanding that it's being voted on separately, but you are asking for this to be not then approved and then taken up for discussion at another time after review of it? And when would this happen if that were to be the case?
I have not propose the protocol or the scheduling of this. I'm merely expressing my intention that this is not to eliminate the possibility of funding this organization. I hope that we'll be able to look at this, do our due diligence, and then consider funding it.
Well, how would we do that if we are going to be voting on that right now? We have to, at this time, we will be voting to approve this or not to approve this, not what you are specifically mentioning in terms of taking further more time to review it and then vote on it. That it's in front of us right now. We would have to vote yay or nay on this.
Well, I agree with you. That is what we are doing now.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that we will find a way to be able to consider this organization in the future after we have done our due diligence. It's unfortunate, I feel, that we did not sufficiently carry out our due diligence before this was brought to the board today. Thank you.
So with what Kina has said, Casey or Ramona, can you provide us some further thoughts on this into what he's saying? I hear what he's saying, but that's not what we're voting on right now.
And Casey said they did a great job following up on this grant. That we keep saying the same thing, the same narrative over and over, despite what is being said.
Yeah, Casey, do you guys have, can you guys address Trustee Akaka's?
Yeah, so Trustee Aquino, we don't insert a step to cross-reference any names with any people who are applying, right? We rely on the rigor that the grants process already has. If we go down this path, we would need help from you folks to tell us what the documented reason for denial would be, right? We're trying to wait for this investigation and conclusive results. I'm uncomfortable with generating that reason on my own. I would look to you folks to help us. If you're saying that our due diligence wasn't done, we need your help to help define that due diligence.
Casey, thank you. I am not saying that the administration failed in its due diligence to follow the procedure that it has established. I'm speaking that we as trustees have a duty to take into consideration the work that we've commissioned in Cliff, CLA and Plant Moran. And that's all I'm saying. We commissioned this work out of our commitment to ensuring that we do not have fraud, waste, and abuse in the organization. It makes sense that we use that information that is available. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not critical of the process of administration. I'm pointing out our duty as trustees.
Trustee Trask.
You know what, I don't think that a further discussion is really going to change much, because it's not really going to change the position we're in. What I am making my notes on right here, you know, I'll just do it myself, regardless of how this vote comes out. We had a vote on the board. We took it as far as we could. Fraud, waste, abuse, you know what it means. I'll send a letter after this meeting. I'll send a letter directly to the Attorney General, directly to the FBI, reminding them that these materials were delivered to them a year ago, and saying, are you launching any kind of criminal investigation on fraud, waste, and abuse based on Plant Moran? Please tell us. Whether we hear from them or not, at least we have an answer, and at least we can go forward. My intention on this is to get some clarification or vote Kanalua, because I don't want to be in a situation where I have 3 audits waving a red flag, and before I know if there's a criminal investigation, we give them another 100 grand. But when the board voted to take this criminal matter further, that's what we did. And there were only 2 trustees that took it, myself and Kaylee Aquino. So I don't have a problem following up. If you bifurcate, to just send something to the FBI. If they don't have any criminal investigation coming out of Plant Moran, tell us. If you do, tell us. Because we have to get our work done. And some of these folks will be coming back. But I don't see going in a circle because we just don't know. Maybe the FBI is doing something. Maybe the AG isn't, but please tell us. It's been a year. And if you want to vote Kanalua until you get an answer, do. I mean, I don't really see there's much else we can do, you know? We did everything we could. Oh, well. They don't want to do criminal, just let us know. They believe they have criminal, let us know. I don't want to see other grants held up either. Because one grant has a problem. We'll see it in the future because we have a lot more coming under the Plant Moran flag. But what's the state AG and the feds doing about it? We can't clean it up. I mean, it's the best I think we can do. But I'd like to answer. I don't see there's anything wrong with writing to the AG and the FBI and say, did you look at it? Are you doing an investigation? Let me know. If not, proceeding with our job.
Casey, do we have a representative from Aloha Kuomo'aina available to speak on this?
Not right now, Trustee Akaka, but if the board wishes, we'll reach out.
Trustee Ahuna.
With all due respect, can we get Everett to comment on this, or somebody who's from administration to comment on all of this? Because these are the same questions they keep asking after every audit and it keeps going and going and going. And Chair Wahe, I know you know this, so we have to get somebody to comment on all of this. It has to stop.
Ev, do you have any comments? If not, Trustee Ahuna, Ev, first, if you have any comments, go for it.
Good morning, Chair Waihee and trustees. I guess I don't have I'm not sure if there's a specific question pending for me, but maybe to speak a little bit to the the findings related to the consulting firm of Dr. Beamer that were flagged in the CLA and Plant Moran reviews. The issues with that contract kind of fell into 2 areas. One was the way in which the contract was awarded to that consulting firm, and then 2, the ways in which the contract deliverables were found to be outstanding. So as to the awarding of that contract, both both CLA and Plant Moran found that there was inappropriate methods used to award that contract to Kuali Aina-based Insights through the use of a procurement exemption that did not actually apply to the awarding of that contract, and then to pre-existing relationships between administration staff and Dr. Beamer. Those issues are not present in this grant process, which of course deals with a grant as opposed to a contract, and it also deals with different members of administration that was present at the time of that prior contract awarding. As it also has been pointed out, these are different organizations. This previously in the Plant Moran and CLA reports, it was dealing with the Kuali Aina-based Insights, and this is dealing with a community organization, Kuomo'aina, and there's just different parties involved. albeit the same executive director here as was involved in the prior Plant Moran and CLA reviews. The other thing that was found was relating to the deliverables under that prior contract not being awarded. And in that case, the Plant Moran report did identify a termination letter that was issued for the contract to actually formally close it out after the end of the time of performance, noting that certain deliverables had not been provided under that prior contract, and therefore the outstanding balance under that contract was not going to continue to be paid out. And it was just a formal end to that contract. As Casey's noted, there's different processes in place, given that this is a grant. There are monitoring steps that are formalized and standardized across grantees and would be in place to ensure that the grant objectives and tasks are carried out as set forth in the applicant's proposal. There's a monitoring process and quarterly and annual reporting that occur to ensure that those deliverables or steps are being met under the grant. So there is additional safeguards in place to maybe address some of the concerns raised by the board today. In terms of the follow-up, we have not received any kind of formal follow-up or update from either the FBI or Attorney General's office relating to this report. So I think we don't have anything to further update the board on. But to that end, we also have not received any formal requests for documents or interviews, suggesting that there is some kind of formal investigation that's ongoing. So, at this point, there's nothing that has been found by either enforcement agency regarding the prior contract that was flagged in the CLA and Plant Moran reports. If there are any specific questions, I can be available to answer them, but that's just kind of a summary of, I think, where this grantee stands in relation to the prior work of the executive director.
Trustee Galatario.
Thank you. This is for Everett. Just so I'm clear. One is a contract. The one that Dr. Beamer, Kamala Beamer had with OHA was a contract. Okay. This is a grant. I'm hearing that over and over and over. Okay. Were the other names that are exhibited on the application analysis involved with the prior contract? Was the board members Keola Beamer, Dr. John Osorio, Neil Hannes, were they a part of the contract?
No.
Well, they weren't, but their names are now seem to be a part of something that we shouldn't be engaged with. Now, having said that, I would encourage Trustee Trask to follow up the way she had mentioned with the FBI and with the AG, because it's an open wound right now. And until that's settled, things like this are going to come up all the time. So, having said that, Chair, I'm ready to vote on whatever you got on the table, because we keep circling around to the same things.
Okay, so is there any more discussion on the bifurcation, the motion to bifurcate? Okay, hearing none, can I get a roll call vote to bifurcate that grant from the rest of them?
Trustee Ahuna,
No.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galataria.
No.
Trustee Trask.
Aye.
Chair Waihee.
Yes.
It's 4 yes and 3 no. So it's a no.
Okay. Members, is there any discussion on so we're going back to the original motion. It failed to get bifurcated. So is there any discussion on the main motion? Okay, hearing none, can I get a roll call vote on the
What's the main motion again? I want to be
All,
sure.
all of them.
To vote for all 5 or 6.
All
1, 2,
6?
3, 4, 5, 6. To vote on all 6.
We just voted for bifurcation though. We had 4 to 3 for bifurcation.
But we have,
So we're taking Kuomo'o off of the 5, off of the. We're not bifurcating. Okay, thank you.
Actually, sorry if I could interject. The motion to bifurcate was successful in as much as a majority of the committee voted for.
Is it a majority of members present?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, we did, so, okay, so we're,
So only us one.
so guys, it did, the bifurcation did succeed. So we're gonna vote now on everything but. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
How come it never goes on? It only goes
because
on-
it's, if we share it up there, it won't share on your screen.
Okay. No. So do you guys understand,
So we need somebody
The
to move.
bifurcation is okay.
the bifurcation, I guess it was okay because it's a majority of members present and we have only 7. So,
And Chair, you assured us that we're gonna
yes,
vote
oh yeah, no, we have it set up,
for this after
yeah,
the group.
yes.
Okay.
So can we get a roll call vote if there's no discussion?
We need someone to move and second.
Oh, no, it's already on the table.
Okay.
You don't have to make it all over. again.
Okay. Okay, we are voting on just the 5 grant recommendations, not Cuomo. Trustee Ahuna,
Yes.
Trustee Akaka,
Sorry, can you repeat that, Melissa?
just the 5, not Cuomo. We will take that separately.
Okay, so this is for the 5 right now.
Correct.
Mahalo. Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Yes. Trustee Galataria,
Yes.
Trustee Trask,
Yes.
Chair Wahehe.
Yes,
7 yes votes.
so this one we have to make it. So members, can I get for the bifurcation, can I get a motion to approve the following fiscal year 2023 INA grant solicitation 230201 disbursement totaling $100,000 from core operating budget object code 56530 to Aloha Kuamo'o Aina in the amount of $100,000.
So move.
It's been moved by trustee Ahuna. Is there a second? It's been seconded by trustee Alapa. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna,
Yes.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina, Trustee Alapa, Trustee Galataria.
Aye.
Trustee Trask,
Aye.
Chair Wahehe,
Yes,
Trustee Akina. 6 yes, 1 abstention.
okay, members, we're moving on now to, is it item D? Okay, action item RM 2323, and this is the awarding of the Mo'o Mehu grant from solicitation 230901. And I will turn this over to, once again, Casey Brown for the presentation of this action item.
Mahalo, Chair White. Hey, trustees, this is for a grant of 100,000 for one awardee being recommended, Ka'ipu Makani Cultural Heritage Center. They're gonna digitize some old records. I'll leave it open to any questions.
Are there any questions, members? Okay, as there are no questions, Casey, can I get a motion to
So moved.
approve the following fiscal year 2023 grant solicitation 230901, disbursements totaling $100,000 from cooperating budget 56530 to the Ka'ipu Makana Cultural Heritage Center in the amount of $100,000. It's been moved by trustee Ahuna, seconded by trustee Alapa. Any discussion on this one? Okay, hearing none, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
Trustee Akina, Trustee Alapa. Aye. Trustee Galataria.
Aye.
Trustee Trask,
Aye.
Chair Wahehe.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Moving on to E, urban E. Okay, this is the awarding of the Kako'o grant, and I will once again turn it over to Casey Brown for the presentation of this action item.
Mahalo Chair Wahe'e, trustees, this is the second cycle of the Kako'o grant that we're coming to you with the recommendation. 5 organizations, total of 105,000. I'll open it up to any questions.
If there are no questions, can I get a motion?
So move.
Okay,
Excuse me.
approve the following fiscal year 2023 Kako'o grants totaling $105,000 from cooperating budget 56530 to the Kalealoa Heritage and Legacy Foundation in the amount of $15,000, men of PAE in the amount of $15,000, La'i Opu 2020 in the amount of $25,000, Infinite Reach in the amount of $25,000, Aina Alliance in the amount of $25,000 for a recommendation of $105,000. It's been moved by Trustee Ahuna. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been seconded by Trustee Akaka. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
trustee Akaka,
Aye.
trustee Akina, trustee Alapa, trustee Galataria, trustee Trask,
Aye.
Chair Wahe'e.
Yes,
7 yes votes.
it passes. I think this one is kind of complicated, but this is our Hawaiian Focus Public Charter School administration grant and recommendations. And I will turn this over to, once again, our Ponui Casey Brown for our presentation of this action item.
Mahalo Chair Wahe'e, trustees. This is the ongoing grant that we've had to help charter schools. OHA has been supporting charter schools for quite some time. This grant is to request for $3 million to be granted to Kalo, Kanuokaina Learning Ohana, who've been in this role serving as the administrator of the funds for the charter schools in the past. This is a recommendation for the trustees to direct this grant to an organization. And it's based on Kalu's performance. That's the biggest driver here, that the recommendation considers both the evaluation results as an applicant and their performance as a recipient. Kalu's proven to be a very strong grantee. They've delivered on all of their goals. Their performance measures and targets have been met. They're also very well accepted in the role by the charter schools, and as you guys all know, we've just met with them last month, and they're a strong advocate for the charter schools in general. So our recommendation is to direct this grant to Kalo. I'll open it up for questions.
Trustee Ahuna.
I see on my sheet, it only says part 1. Is there a part 2 to this?
Yeah, the part 2, yeah. Mahalo, Trustee Ahuna. Part 2 has to do with the other half. So 3 million, there's 2 large pieces of this funding that OHA does for charter schools. The first is a per pupil amount. The second part relates to facilities amount. And that will be brought in an action item separately. This is just the first part, the per pupil.
Thank you. I just wanted to be clear.
Okay, is there any, do we have 3 different motions we're taking separately?
Yes.
Why are we?
One motion relates to Trustee Ahuna's role on one of the relationship, and then the other motion relates to separating out Kanu from the overall Because Kanu is, is sort of related to Kalo, where we separate Kanu for their own receiving of the per pupil amount.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's no further discussion. Can I get a motion? Motion to approve and authorize the disbursement of $2,332,552 from the fiscal biennium 2024 to 2025 core operating budget object code 56540 to fund the fiscal biennium 2024 to 2025 Hawaiian focused public charter schools grant to Kanuoka Aina Learning Ohana to distribute to 15 Hawaiian focused public charter schools on a per pupil basis. B, disbursement of $200,000 from the fiscal biennium 2024 to 2025 core operating budget object code 56540 to fund the administrative fee for Kalo to distribute funds to Hawaiian focused public charter schools. And C, disbursement of $80,000 from the fiscal biennium 2024 to 2025 core operating budget object code 56540 to fund the annual Ka'ikalona Charter School Conference for Kalo to host and manage. Can I get that motion?
So move.
Moved by trustee Ahuna.
Second.
It's been seconded by trustee Akaka. Is there any discussion on that motion? If there is not, can I get a roll call vote for its approval?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
trustee Akaka,
Aye.
trustee Akina, trustee Alapa, trustee Galataria,
Aye.
trustee Trask,
Aye.
chair Wahehe,
Yes.
7 yes votes.
So members, can I get a motion to approve and authorize the disbursement of $97,062 from the fiscal biennium 2024 to 2025 core operating budget object code 56540 to fund the fiscal biennium 2024 to 2025 Hawaiian focused public charter schools grant to Kanuoka Aina Learning Ohana for the benefit of Kanu Ikapono Public Charter School, Anahola, Kauai. Sorry,
So moved.
it's been moved by trustee Akaka, seconded by trustee Alapa. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna is recused.
Kanalo.
Trustee Akaka,
Aye.
trustee Akina, trustee Alapa, aye. Trustee Galataria,
Aye.
trustee Trask,
Aye.
chair Wahehe,
Yes.
6 yes and 1 recusal.
And for our final, I think it's our final motion of the day. Well, our final. Can I get a motion to approve and authorize the disbursement of $290,386 from the fiscal biennium budget 2024 to 2025 core operating budget object code 56540 to fund the fiscal biennium 2024 to 2025 Hawaiian focused public charter schools disbursement to Kanuoka Aina New Century Public Charter School.
So move.
Second.
By trustee Ahuna, seconded by trustee Akaka. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, can I get a roll call vote for its approval?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
trustee Akaka,
Aye.
trustee Akina, trustee Alapa, trustee Galataria,
Aye.
trustee Trask,
Aye.
chair Wahehe,
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Okay, members, if there are no announcements, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Moved by trustee Ahuna, seconded by trustee Alapa. Any discussion, members? Hearing none, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
trustee Akaka,
Aye.
trustee Akina, trustee Alapa, trustee Galataria,
Aye.
trustee Trask,
Aye.
chair Wahehe,
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Hui hou